Now, Franklin and Rusty had driven off in the 1993 Lincoln at this time looking for a parking place. So we were separated, and that's bad. So I picked up my box and I walked up to the corner of King Street and 10th, and then I went down King Street, away from them, completely out of their jurisdiction.
I took everything off of away from the courthouse and got onto private property. And Franklin and I got separated. It is 9:36 a.m. I'll turn off the recorder. That man lied. That man lied. He said he was a United States Deputy Marshal. He is not. He's a Pinkerton.
So I didn't know where to put my box. My file box, great big blue file box. And heavy, because it was loaded with Dolan law breaking. So I put it down on the pavement in an alley where there was a chain, so that it looked like the alley wasn't going to be used much. And I hid the box, not hid it, but sort of concealed it behind a great big, one of those rubber men that they have for the highways to keep you from whatever line they want you to be in. Half hour Jackson, half hour of my life.
And they're still there. No Franklin.
Now they put
3 a.m. for this.
We got up at 3 a.m. for this. They put a Pinkerton outside on the balustrade of the courthouse to watch for me. And he stayed out there watching me on the corner, looking for Franklin.
There's 2 Pinkertons out there now.
No, they put.
3 a.m. for this.
We got up at 3 a.m. for this. They put a Pinkerton outside on the balustrade of the courthouse to watch for me. And he stayed out there watching me on the corner, looking for Franklin.
There's 2 Pinkertons out there now. A.m. Still waiting for poor Franklin. Oh, and did you hear the crooked marshal tell the people to call the police? Because they wanted to. That's improper influence and damaged reputation. Looking at them now. They're about 100 feet away. They're on the steps of our taxpayer courthouse. I don't see Franklin. I hope he isn't in their hands. Just wait around the courthouse for him. What is the time now? 10:05 a.m. I'm walking on 10th Street.
Worried about Franklin.
I have a charge against the court. They did not file my complaint. Rule 77, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure.
The court did not file my complaint. So I was going to attach that to my order to show cause. The bad court. That's against rules of Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 77, how a clerk has to file a complaint.
No, Franklin. Time is 10:09 a.m.
So do they have Franklin in the courthouse? Is he in custody, so to call? Is he in captivity?
Pinkerton's still there, wasting government money. It's a good thing they get paid a minimum wage. 10:10 a.m. That's the magic minute. We thank you for the sunshine. We thank you for the good weather. We thank you for our nice trip.
So what a good feeling. I saw poor limping Franklin come up the street. And I went down and I told him that we had to turn around. I says, but first of all, you see that Pinkerton up there? He's watching me. And I asked Franklin to describe him for you.
Can you see that piece of plastic they wear in their pockets? Does it say Pinkerton? Yeah, you just see it down for the kid. What's that? The railing blocks all everything. Oh, okay. Thank God I saw you. It's 10:12 a.m. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's get out of there.
Well, let's see. The guy was coming over and telling me he couldn't take a picture of the courthouse. Do you believe that? When you're on the other side of the street? No, it doesn't seem like it. Okay. And then another Pinkerton came out. Okay, I asked the first guy. I asked Pinkerton number 2, what is your name? And he wouldn't give it. I asked him 6 times. Then I asked big fat Pinkerton number 3, what is your name? And he wouldn't give it to me. What's the Pinkerton doing now? He what? Looking over the railing. Is he hiding his head? No. I think he is. Look. He's got his back to us. Does it say U.S. Marshal on the back of it? USMC? USMS? Oh, God. Thank you, God. And my God, I found you. And you're a hole. Okay. All right. So then Pinkerton number 3 came out, and he wouldn't give his name. He was big and fat. Yes, outside the building. Oh, well, actually, it's on the steps, on the porch there, okay? On the fort. See, this is a fort. This is not a public courthouse. This is a fort. A police station. And then they wanted to call the marshals, the deputy marshal. You know the old Patrick Quinn thing? Yes. You got a hanky? I think so. Don't take your glove off. I don't want your hands to get hurt. Sure. Okay? And so I said, I don't want to see a deputy marshal. And so then I picked up the box and your newspapers and the coffee cup and my notebook, and I took them across the street, right? Yeah. And I put them on the sidewalk, right? And then you left, right? Yeah. Okay. So I took the box up King Street, going that way. Yeah. And put them down behind in a driveway that was chained off and didn't look like there was any activity. And then I went inside to the place and I asked them, can I leave my blue file box in here? I got separated from my husband. He's looking for a parking space, and I have to find him. And the man said, does it tick? He says, is there anything that ticks? And I said, no. He says, well, if it ticks, put it on his desk. And so then I went out on the street to look for you, and here's 3 hulks coming up the street. And guess what they are? Yeah, Patrick Quinn's. So I immediately went back into the store where Tim was, and I sat down. And they started interrogating me. And they wouldn't, and I asked them their names, and one was Fair, and one was something else. And they showed me their badges, but they wouldn't let me look at them. You know the old marshal thing? They flash the badges, but they won't let you look at them. So when I tried to look at them, they closed them up and put them in their pockets. And there was a third fellow, and I says, what's his name? And he says, you don't have to know his name. And then he went over to the people at the desk, and he intimidated them. He said, she's not going to tell us anything. So you can do what you want. You can call the police if you want. The person who said, does it tick? Oh, he's the marshal too. No, Tim is works for that company. That's right. I haven't even got into the courthouse yet. First, I'm going to finish telling you what happened. Okay. So they left. All 3 of them left. All right? And Tim or somebody asked me to take my box out of there. So I took my box out of there and I put it back in this alleyway. at 10:20 a.m. Franklin says it should be a simple thing. You go into a courthouse and you say your business. Now that's a good thing. They violated my First Amendment to petition my government for redress of wrong. And they violated my due process. And they violated my equal protection of the law, 14th Amendment and 5th Amendment. Tell us what you did.
Tell us what you did. Well, he went around and looked for a parking place.
Looking for a place to park.
He found one 8 blocks away. He took Rusty for a walk. Then he walked to the courthouse. No parking meter.
And then you took Rusty for a walk?
Free parking.
With Rusty? And then you put Rusty back in the car? And then how many blocks did you walk?
All the time that we're talking about this, we were walking back to the car, and Franklin was really weak. In fact, he began to stumble, and he looked like he was going to fall 3 or 4 times. And so I asked him to stand up against the lamppost while I went down and got the car. I had to go around several blocks because it's one way.
All right, I'll tell you what. You stay here. I'll go get the car. Okay? 10:25 a.m. Franklin will stay here, and I'll try to go get the car and the box. Oh, and intimidating policeman took our license plate.
Pinkerton number 3 took the license plate number.
To go do justice? Hey, Rusty dog. Oh, he's such a good dog. Yeah, and Granny keeps him right with us, right? Granny never lets him be alone. And he takes care of the car, right, Rusty dog? And it is 10:30 a.m. and the reason we came has been thwarted by a police state. Now I'm going one-way street, trying to get around to pick up Franklin. Yeah, in school for box up here. I'm picking up my box. It's right on the sidewalk. No, not even a couple. Thank you.
We drove around block, one way. And when we passed the courthouse, there was Pinkerton number 4, Bailey, the big fat one with the gray kinky hair.
This building named after Governor who, Franklin?
Carvel.
What?
Carvel.
C-A, like ice cream?
Well, C-A-R-V-E-L.
Flavors? Pinkertons? Do you see anything Pinkertons, Franklin? Courthouse, no Pinkertons.
We keep driving by the courthouse.
Don't let the doors. It's 10:45, quarter to 11 in the morning. We're riding around Wilmington, and we're wondering what we should do.
What do you think we should do, folks? What do you think we should do, folks?
Right, the house, you state your business, and you
Well, you know how they are.
Franklin says you ought to be able to go into a courthouse, state your business, and get it resolved.
Pinkerton number 1, when I came in with my box. At the Nazi Gestapo metal detector.
All right. She was in touch with his office.
Or for him to say what Judge McKelvey would do. But you see, if you go into that courthouse, they will make up a lie to have you arrested. And they'll make up all kinds of lies the way Patrick Quinn did, right? Then you'll have a U.S. attorney coming down and arresting you.
Okay.
The FBI will arrest you.
We'll have to go home.
The way they intimidated us. Do you think that's so?
Well, based on
Tell me what's going on at the courthouse now.
past practices.
Anything going on at the courthouse now?
No.
The thing you could do is to call up and tell them that they violated your rights. You're going to the courthouse. I don't think. That's my hunch.
Okay.
Tell me what yours is. You go in the courthouse and not do a thing wrong, as we did in the Uniondale courthouse. But then they lie,
Yes. True.
and they collude.
True.
Lock you up.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's right.
Or phone. You could say you want what you tried to do and how you were prevented by it, and they would say come into the courthouse, but that would just be another ambush.
I guess there's nothing to be done.
Or a cop, a Delaware cop, city cop. Excuse me, this is Walnut Street. Hooked on a red. So you think they must be able to do that here? You can't make a right on a red, huh?
Right.
What you can do, go home and change all the dates, okay, and submit it by mail.
You can go home, change all the dates, and submit it through the mail.
You can know what happens at the meeting after it happens.
Right. Okay.
And fine them $5,000 for every day they broke the law,
Right.
retroactively. So, 10 minutes to 11. Been up since 3 a.m. trying to get justice in a crooked court. So, we will wait until 11 a.m., okay? To make up our mind whether we're going into the courthouse or whether we are going home and do it by mail.
Oh, I think we already decided.
Oh, you have already decided that?
Well, that's what you convinced me on.
I have no intention of convincing you in anything. I was listing the pros and the cons.
Yes, well, there weren't any pros.
Yes, there were. You said a person should be able to go into a courthouse and state his business and get a hearing.
Yeah, but we know that that's not so.
Why is that? Because the courts are crooked?
Yes.
And there will be another Uniondale? Lying Marshal? Lying FBI? Lying Pinkertons?
Yeah.
Lying U.S. Attorney?
Right.
Okay, well, we're going to wait until 11 o'clock to make our final decision. Up the street.
Yes.
Use these blocks more often than that police car. What should do, Rusty? What do you think we should do? If we are going to leave,
We got it.
I think I can find my way back. What street were we on when we asked for the directions by the gas station? Market Street? Are there human beings at the door? There's a fat Pinkerton right there. Did you see him? Yeah. Good, I'm glad you saw it. He wouldn't give his name. That's the one. That would be number 1, 2, 3. That's Pinkerton number 3.
No, 4. Bailey.
Is this a one-way street, Franklin? Going that way. Decision is to go home and do it by mail. And then if the court is Gestapo and anti-American and doesn't give me my relief, then I'll sue that court and I'll sue all of these Pinkertons. That is my decision. And Franklin says his decision is to go home. So I believe it's unanimous. We are now heading north on a beautiful sunny day. Clear blue sky with cumulus clouds here and there. It's 11 a.m. I'm off of the trees. So we'll go to the first service area and we'll service this dog. And we'll service Franklin. We have a half a tank of gas.
So that was the decision. That was the decision.
What's the name of the newspaper?
Unbelievable what happened. Unbelievable.
The journal every evening in the evening.
The public's right
On the newsstand
to
today. The news journal. Obviously published.
petition one's government for redress of grievance.
We had fun. We decided.
Except there's a toll on I-95 at New Rochelle that never should be. Never!
$5.30 on the New Jersey Turnpike. And when I sue this court, I'm going to sue them for not picking up the phone if you don't unblock your number. If I'm calling them from home, I don't want them to have my home number. Okay? And that's a violation of all kinds of constitutional rights. The court has to be open. Sue them too on Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Also that they didn't file a complaint. Remember, I'm seeking relief on the laws of 2 states. Is this Philadelphia, Franklin? Not only did we go through Chester, we went through Westchester. Do they have service areas on I-95? They do in Fairfield County. We're passing an airport. Ridley Park. Radio's no good, just a waste of time. Boy, this is a smooth ride. Cruise control at 55 miles per hour. Just a waste of time. Boy, this is... Boy, Bristol.
So there were no service areas on I-95. So we stopped at Bucks County at Bristol. And we first of all we took care of Rusty. It's very easy. We pack his lunch, a can of food and a plate and a can opener and a fork and a dish and napkins. It's very easy to pack his lunch. And then we moved north on I-95, but something got mixed up. We went on 295 and kept going around Trenton. And that was bad. We went about 40 miles out of our way. But we finally got on the right road, but we had to get back onto the Jersey Turnpike, so far as I see. Do you know a way to come north without getting on the toll road and the Jersey Turnpike?
And he said we had to get onto the New Jersey Turnpike, and that's terrible. That costs $3.90. What river is this, the Harlem River?
Oh, look where we are.
Proceeded on the journey. And or whoever they were, had no jurisdiction at all to follow me up the street, up King Street, away from the courthouse. And then triple, they had no cause to follow me into the private store. It's against them. And they knew they were wrong. They thought they were going to flush me out and make me talk, and I wouldn't talk. And I wouldn't tell them my name. Good. There was nothing they could do. And they would have done plenty. Idiot trying to do.
This is labeling the tapes to be edited Tuesday, December 5th. At 3:40 p.m. on a beautiful day, clear blue sky with a few cumulus clouds. We're over the Harlem River, under the George Washington Bridge, and the toll on the George Washington Bridge is $4. We hate tolls. Citizens Against Tolls. Our website is We Hate Tolls.
There was no reason for his to be like that, Kerman. Could have said, yes, ma'am, we'll keep an eye on it. We understand the parking situation. And the federal governments never provide parking. Never. They're rotten about that. The White Plains Federal Court, the downtown 500 Pearl Street, they never provide parking. And that's the least they could do. They provide parking, of course, for themselves, but not for the public. Who owns the courthouse? Bill Amos is this little out and hungry. They want to show that they're such big shots. And they don't have a minuscule of authority. Props. They gotta make believe they're deputy marshals. Idiotic thing to say. You can't videotape the outside of a courthouse when you're standing across the street. Pinkerton is a bad outfit. Pinkerton is a bad outfit. It's out there. Their only job is to drive people off the property. They had no business pursuing me. You? Colonel, to open my box and look at it. That's no decision's all right. This case was a sham. It never should have been settled. I know your decision is already made. It's right there lying. And you cheat me out of making an audio tape, right? I'm gonna...
So we got home, folks, around 4 o'clock. 350 miles and 12 hours. About $20 in tolls, about $10 in food. At 50 cents a mile, that's $175 or $150. And we washed up, put on clean clothes, and rested, and took care of 5 things. Rested and took care of 5 more things. Finally, we got all of yesterday's groceries and parcels put away from yesterday's errands. Took Rusty for a walk. And that quilt coat that I have is terrific. You pull the string around the waist and no cold gets in. You pull the string around the neck and no cold gets in. And we rested and put away 5 things. We put away the lunchbox, cleaned up the kitchen, snacked. No time for a real meal. And we undid those 3 great big parcels that came in the mail, and we put on the floor the tapes to label for the editing for this coming Tuesday, December 15th. And Franklin put all of the tapes in chronological order, and that's the way he likes to do it. And at 8:20 p.m., I went to sleep, having been up since 3 a.m., and I guess, but Franklin stayed up and did some bookkeeping. Coming Tuesday, December 15th. And Franklin put all of the tapes in chronological order, and that's the way he likes to do it. And at 8:20 p.m., I went to sleep, having been up since 3 a.m., and I guess, but Franklin stayed up and did some bookkeeping. Expenses out. And I slept until 4:20 or 4:30 this morning. Penny just came in and she says it's cold. It's cold, huh, Penny? Yeah. The problem is, Penny, is that Rusty went out at 6 o'clock for his stroll and he isn't back yet. And then we had to, after the morning chores were all done, I had to write out my argument for a hearing before Bryant, Charles L. Bryant, at 8:30 in the morning. Because William Rand wants $140,000 in attorney's fees and costs because he won the appeal against David Burchard, reducing the fees that David Burchard wanted in the Texaco derivative case, reducing the fees from $1 million to zero. And William Rand and Glendora together won that appeal. So I had lots of things to say to Bryant, and I jotted them down, and Franklin and I got out of here at 8 o'clock, but I'm very, very sad because Rusty Dog went out at 6 for his stroll, and he's usually back in a half an hour, and he's not back yet, and it is 4:35 in the afternoon and no Rusty Dog. I've called Lee Miles 3 times to see if Rusty Dog went back there. And so I went to Bryant's courtroom, and I saw the clerk, and I said, "Are you taking appearances?" And she said, "No, somebody else will be out." And I said, "Will that be Tony Bravado?" And the clerk said, "Yes." And when Tony came out, I had written out a motion in the scrubbiest piece of paper, and all in a hand, and I said, "It's a motion that I want to videotape and audio tape this hearing. And 2, I want the court to provide me with a copy of the minutes without a fee." And my goodness, here's a courtroom with 10 or 12 high-paid lawyers there, $350, $450 an hour, you know, that ripoff. And Brian comes out, and what's the first thing that he does? He comes out and he says, "Good morning, everybody, be seated." He says, "We have a motion here before us by Glendora, who wants to videotape and audio tape the hearing today, and of course I will not grant that." "Why? Grounds? Why?" And she says, number two is she wants a copy of the minutes without charge. And she says, and then Brian says, "I will see what Glendora has to say, and then determine Glendora's financial status and see if I will grant that later." And so William Rand got up and spoke, and William Rand's father came. William Rand's father was the town attorney, the village attorney for the village of Oyster Bay, where Charles Dolan lived. And John Tarter used to live. And probably some Tarters still do live at 8 Sherwood Lane. So, Rand said that he was entitled to attorney's fees because he gained such a great benefit to Texaco. He got the $1.4 million attorney's fees reduced to 0. And Bryant made 2 objections. He says, one, "This was so long ago, aren't you untimely?" And he says, "Why didn't you make the application to the Court of Appeals?" Well, that's not very bright, because the Court of Appeals does not award attorney's fees. The Court of Appeals awards only the costs of the printing. And there was another guy, Burchard wasn't there, too ashamed to be, and he sent up another fellow. And I was surprised that after William Rand spoke that Bryant called on Glendora instead of Burchard's emissary. And he said to Glendora, "Go to the lectern." And Brian has a hearing problem, of course. That's sad. And he says, "Make your comments brief." Well, that's no way. We're there for a court to hear us. And then another objection that Brian had to William Rand was, here you work for a big New York law firm, prestigious. This is all Brian stuff, you know. It's all law firms. And he says, "Why didn't you have them take this for you, and instead of going pro se?" And Rand had a good answer to that. The law firm didn't want to do it. So, when Glendora got up to speak, the first thing she said was, "Well, Mr. Rand has a constitutional right to be pro se." And Brian says, "I know that." And Glendora asked, about the cost of the minutes without charge, I said, you yourself, Judge Bryan, have declared in Glendora informa pauperis. I remember that, he said. And I said, did you notice that this $140,000 that Mr. Rand is asking for is just 1 zero short of the $1.4 million that Burchard was asking for? I said, I am opposed to all of these. There's too much money going back and forth in these courts between judges and between lawyers and court stenographers. There's just too much money, and it is ruining the courts for us. Before we even stand before the bench, the decisions are made. And I said, we aren't getting justice, and this is obstruction of justice. How am I doing? And I said, I love William Rand dearly and his father. I said, but I have to do what my conscience says. You have to. I want William Rand to make out, but as I said, this is what has ruined our courts, this money, this greed, this avarice. And Brian says, well, didn't the court say, didn't you ask for leave to appeal and the court didn't grant it? I said, well, on Minor's decision, Minor's a Second Circuit judge. Minor's order on page 13 says, he says that his own motion panel in the Second Circuit was wrong to make me ask for leave to appeal. And Brian says, it says that in his order? And I said, yes. And I think it's page 13 or so. And I said to Bryant that Minor ruled in Glendora's favor, as he always has. He rules in Glendora's favor and against Charles Bryant. I said, we do get justice in the end. Look at Bajur. He lost his company. Now, if you're the CEO and chairman of a company, you can't do much worse than that. Lose your company. And I said to Brian, and now we shareholders are only going to get 0.7 of a chevron for one Texaco. And Brian says, you're only going to get 0.7? And I said, yes. And he says, why wouldn't you let me exercise my right to videotape and audiotape this hearing? Well, Congress. When Congress makes a law that you can videotape and audiotape, I'll let you do it. But that's all wrong. Congress never made a law that you can't videotape and audiotape in a courtroom. And Congress itself is on videotape and audiotape all day long on C-SPAN. I said, don't you realize that the public has a right to know? I said, even the New York Times was censored in this case. Bryant took the people into a back room, and he tells them what to do, and the lawyer comes out and he says, I say this, and I say that, and that's just what Bryant told him to say. And Bryant wouldn't let the New York Times go in, and the New York Times protested that. The great New York Times. Bryant wouldn't let him hear what was going on in Texaco, Roberts versus Texaco. I said, there's going to be another Roberts versus Texaco case pretty soon. I said, there's going to be Cablevision, because they don't hire blacks, and they don't hire women in upper management much. And they only have one woman on the board. So I did not bow to Bryant. I didn't get down on my knees and obsequiously take everything he had to give. This time it was the other way around. After a while, Bryant stopped looking at me, and he was looking down at the bench. And I said, I've monitored this court so many years that I know what you do on these Friday morning motion conferences. You have the decision all written out. Your law clerk has it all written out, annotated with so-called case law, and you call it bench notes, and then you listen to people, have what they have to say, and then you read them the decision that you've already made back in the back room. And he put him on the defensive, and he says, well, he says, would you have a judge come into a case and not be prepared? I would have a judge be open-minded till he heard what the people had to say, and then let the judge make his up his mind. Well, I think that had something to do, and so does Brad Sachs, and so does Franklin, with Bryant saying at the end, well, thank you. I will reserve my decision on this. They all think it was because of what I said about his Friday morning motion conferences. So, is he going to rule for Rand getting $140,000 attorney's fees and costs, or is he going to rule against him? Since Brian dislikes me so, the fact that I objected, maybe that will have a positive effect. And because I objected to it, Brian will approve it. I also told Brian that I never approved of Myrtle getting $60,000 to be a special master. I said the $150 filing fee should have taken care of everything that happened in court and not make shareholders pay $60,000. There's another ripoff. $60,000 and the guy did about 10 hours work. Now, this case, the Texaco derivative case, has been a well, it's been crooked from the start. I believe that's all I said, and I said, well, when he says, oh, would you have a judge come to court unprepared? And I said, all right, you've been a judge longer than I have. I withdraw it. And at the end, I think that's about all of the points that were covered. At the end, I said, thank you, Judge Bryant. I hope you are well. He said, oh, thank you, Glendora. He and I have been friends for a long time. Judge Bryant and I have been friends for a long time, but we've been enemies for just as long. The conference was over at around 9 o'clock. I was kind of disappointed that Bill Rand and his father didn't wait outside and talk to us. Franklin went downstairs, I went upstairs. All the time Frank Weber, psychotic Pinkerton, was in the courtroom. And then Weber went out when I went out into the hall, and Weber was following us all around there. He's an idiot anyhow. And then they put another Pinkerton in the courtroom. So Weber was trying to find out where I was going to go next, and so I pushed both the up button and the down button. So that should confuse him, except that he's confused already. And then Franklin went down and out, and I stayed. And I went up to the courtrooms. I went up to the U.S. Attorney's Office 3 on the third floor and looked that over. Went up to the fourth floor. Fox was loafing. It was after 9 o'clock in the morning. And Lisa Margaret Smith was loafing. So I went up to the fifth floor, and Hardin was all locked up, nothing going on there. And McMahon wasn't doing anything. So I went up to the sixth floor, and Connor wasn't awake, and on the other side, Barrington D. Parker, the Piro judge, the wrong one to judge anybody. Barrington D. Parker was asleep. And I went and I rang the chamber's bell. Nobody answered. Nobody was in. The $40 million courthouse, nobody was working, and no justice was being done. I wanted to see Andrew, but nobody answered. I went down to the clerk's office and talked to a couple of people, to Mel, and I talked to Pat. I enjoyed my talk with Pat. We talked about Bob Hope. I told Pat what I said to Bryant. Meantime, the 1993 Lincoln was left at Rick's, the battery. Frank Massarelli, when he put in the interstate battery, he should have not charged me anything, but he charged me $90. And because that battery is warranted, he should have put in a new battery interstate for nothing. So I was left with paying Frank Massarelli over in New Rochelle $90 for a new battery. But Rick Fatia up in opposite the courthouse in White Plains is very kind, and he says, I'll try to sell the battery for you. Well, it's been there a year and he hasn't sold it. So I said to Rick, his father, when I said, we're going to court now. I said, something's wrong with this battery. Either this old battery has to be charged, or I think I'll just take my battery and have it put in the 1993 Lincoln. So when I came back, that was all done. Also, the terminal, the negative terminal, was no good, and that's how I broke my valet case in two and lost the batteries by hitting the terminal. I'll never do that again. And so now it has a $110 interstate battery in it. We shouldn't have those problems. You'd get in the car and turn it, click, and then you knew that there was something wrong with the terminal. So you'd go and hit it, and then it would go right. Then it would start right up again. We came home. Oh no, Franklin wanted to pay the rents, $1,200. It's $45 a day, and the Con Edison's $150. And but he goes all the way over to 3.5 miles from here because he knows somebody at that bank, and then he goes all the way up to White Plains because he knows somebody at that bank. And so I went into the banks with him, and I said, my husband has to get to know somebody here, because he's going all over the place banking, and he only lives down here a few blocks. And we met the nicest person, Madge Dale. She lives in Greenberg, and she made Franklin very happy that he could go to that branch now. We did the same. That was at Chase Bank, and then we went over to the Bank of New York and did that over there. We came home. Franklin took off for the northern country. He went up to Rockland, and then his next trip would be, I discouraged him from going because it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, he was sure he could do it. And he went up, brave man. Then he goes over Route 202 to Yorktown. Excuse me, he goes to Rockland first, and either up the over the Bear Mountain Bridge into Peekskill, or he goes up Route 9 to Peekskill. Monitors the court in Peekskill, and then goes over 202 to Yorktown to pick up the tapes that have been cable cast and to hand in the new tapes. And everything is behind. Everything is all backed up. The legal papers, the chat with Glendora, everything. The eating isn't right. Everything is a mess. So, the videotaping is up to date. So now, folks, it's 4:15 a.m. I got up at 3 a.m., or tried to. I guess I didn't make it until 3:15 or 3:20 a.m. so that I could videotape these reports for you. Last night, I went to the wake of Francis Johnson, who did so much for beating greedy landlords and did so much to get the Emergency Tenant Protection Act renewed for 6 years. She was a real trooper. And it is my opinion, and the opinion of many people there, that she was really killed by the White Plains Hospital. And I certainly know that Merrill Folsom was, and I certainly know that Eleanor Folsom was. It's a bad place to be, a hospital. There's germs all over. And so there were 20, 30 people coming and going. I was so happy about that. So many people came to see her and pay her their respects. It was good. And we talked to a lot of the people who knew Frances from the landlord battle, which she helped to win, and so many people knew her from her pet sitting. She would sit with pets. She'd come into people's homes and sit with the pets and take care of them while the people were away. So Lynn and Nancy Crosby and many others called up Frances's friends. They had her book with telephone numbers, and they called up and told them that this wake was going to be. And so we're grateful to them, because how would we have known? Peter McHugh was there, and I've forgotten how he knew Frances, but he used to take Frances grocery shopping. Frances had a very bad knee, and he used to take her grocery shopping. And he was so good to her. And he just retired as a social studies teacher, 7th grade, in the Highland School in White Plains. So it was a pleasure to meet him. And Bill and Laurie. But it was a case where she didn't get care. It's the same as with Franklin's brother, 86 years old in Florida. He had mucus built up. He went to the hospital to get well, and they just made him sicker, and finally they killed him. Well, I haven't videotaped and reported to you since Thursday, around 4 p.m. But I'll do the best I can giving you the chronology of what happened. And Chat with Glendora was finished, and that took a long time. You know, it takes about, after you videotape, which takes all, after you edit, which takes all day, the next day is the labeling and the getting prepared for the next editing date, and then the assigning the programs, and then making a calendar of to which cable system they were assigned, and making sure that every cable system has an edition, and making sure that every edition has a cable company. So it takes a long, long time, maybe 9 hours, 10 hours, and maybe 3 or 4 of Franklin's. And Friday, just a second, I gotta try to remember. Excuse me, that was Friday. Okay, Saturday. The omnibus lawsuit. Or was it the U.S. Supreme Court? Oh, here's what it was Saturday. Saturday morning was to get the order to show cause to fine Dolan, Charles L. Dolan, $5,000 a day for every day he doesn't show the shareholder the shareholders list, which is the law. And that was all Saturday morning, and then it was served to the United States District Court in Delaware. And as I thought this over, folks, we shouldn't have come home. We should have gone into a lawyer's office, and we should have asked a lawyer, pro bono, to take that order to show cause to the clerk across the street. There's plenty of lawyers along the street there, as there are with every courthouse. And that's what we should have done, and kept looking until we found a socially minded lawyer, if there is any such thing, to do this pro bono and take it in. That's what we should have done. Or, in the alternative, if that did not work, we should have just gone to the post office and mailed it in from Delaware. We shouldn't have come home without doing one of those two things. But that's hindsight. All right, so it got mailed on Saturday. And I'm happy to report to you that I called up the District Court, United States District Court in Delaware, and I asked them, did they receive Glendora's order to show cause? In the morning they hadn't, because they hadn't had a chance to go through their mail. But by 4:30 in the afternoon I called, and Hector told me that, yes, it had been received. I asked who the assigned judge was, and he didn't know. And I asked what the docket number is, and he didn't know. Now, the District Court in Delaware, this is an unbelievable thing, but it's on the audio tape. They have call blocking. And if a person with a number that is blocked, and the person doesn't want anybody else to know the number, for instance, his home number, then they won't answer the phone unless you give them your home number. Well, a United States District Court just can't do that. The clerk's office just cannot do that. And so that's going to be another battle later on down the line until we see what the judge does about this order to show cause. What else is there to report to you? And the rest of Saturday was the omnibus lawsuit. And it's good. Or was it the U.S. Supreme Court? It was the U.S. Supreme Court. And I have to start writing it backwards. I've written up to page 30. You're allowed 40 pages. So I had to write it backwards. And so included on page 40, I put in their form for the reason why the petition for writ of certiorari should be granted. And then the conclusion is that it should be granted. Okay, that's their form, and I filled that out on the bottom of page 40. And then on the top of page 40, I put in some comments on the lousy decision of Guido Calabrese on the Bruiser Ken case. The decision that robbed America of its great traditions and inspirations. And then on page 39, I put some more. Then starting on page 38, I took my annotations and interlinears and marginalia on that terrible Calabrese order, and I put those on page 39 and 38, and I wrote it all backwards all the way. And I'm able to fit in, so far, most of my comments that I put in en banc. I read those to you when it was written. It was written around the end of September when Franklin was in Houston. And Franklin's Houston people are coming up here at Christmas time. So that's very close to the end of this paper. I've worked half an hour on every day for what, a couple of months. It is due. You have 90 days in the United States Supreme Court to submit your petition for writ of certiorari. Not that they're going to do anything. The United States Supreme Court pays attention only 1%, less than 1% of the cases that are submitted to them. So that leaves thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans every year without a United States Supreme Court. What we've got is a joke. So anyway, and then into Franklin's 40 pages, he just wrote 3/4 of a page while he thought his petition for writ of certiorari should be granted. And so he's got 40 pages, and he can put in what Cassidy said about the good things Cassidy said about him. And then my commentary on Guido Calabresi's. Well, I try to say an order, but it wasn't an order. It was never signed by a judge. It was signed by a lowly clerk, Lucille Carr, C-A-R-R, C-A-R-R. It was signed by a lowly clerk. So really, it's not an order, it's a nullity. And I'm telling the U.S. Supreme Court that. So that's very close to being done. Then the rest of the Saturday was taken up by So after I went to the post office with the order to show cause to the Delaware court, and without Rusty, and it was lonesome without him, when I came home, Franklin says, "You got to go out again." I said, "Oh boy, they found Rusty." He says, "The animal shelter thinks that they have Rusty." And I said, "Is he all right?" And Franklin didn't seem to know. So immediately we got in the car, his favorite car, the velvet seat 1980 Lincoln. We went over to the animal shelter, and there was Rusty. And they said that a nice man saw the dog and said, "This dog belongs to somebody." And the nice man took the dog in. And then the nice man decided that he'd better try to find the dog's home. And the nice man called the animal shelter. And then the nice man drove Rusty to the animal shelter. And Rusty was in the animal shelter less than an hour. So that confirms, or at least it lends credence to my hypothesis that if Rusty is not detained, he'll come right home. So he was detained by this nice man. Well, what was this nice man's name? Well, we don't know. What was his telephone number? We don't know. Well, what was his address? We don't know. So Franklin gave the animal shelter, on his own motion, sua sponte, $20. And I asked Franklin if he wouldn't give them another $20. And he did. And the prayer was answered, that Rusty come home whole, happy, and healthy. And boy, was he happy. In the meantime, Victor and Patty, I asked them to buy Rusty a dog collar that has Rusty's name on it and 949-9495 on it, so that if this ever happens again, Rusty will be returned to us. And that cost $20 to get that collar. And now we pick up on Sunday. Sunday was very good on the omnibus lawsuit. All of the defendants are listed in the captions. Some of the first names are missing. So I can get that either at the Pace Law Library or I can call up the courts. And I would like to have had a chance to do that yesterday, Monday, but I did not. And of course everything was done with this horrible, horrible virus infection. I don't know what's wrong with modern medicine. They never can prevent a cold or treat a cold. And these viruses, your body, I think what's happening is that your body is trying to get rid of these viruses, and it attacks these viruses with mucus and makes them all stick together. And then the mucus comes from your throat, from the back of your mouth, and from your nose. And it's every 15 minutes. And this has gone on for 7, 8 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. 7 days. What's the matter with modern medicine? They cannot prevent the common cold, and they can't do anything with one. So about the omnibus lawsuit, that's really shaping up. The caption is like 5 pages long. It's suing about 23 judges and about 15 court clerks. And then some businesses for deceiving the public, taking advantage of the public. So, as I say, the best policy is to wait until it's finished and read it to you then, even though a lot of it is done already. Crooked judges, corrupt judges, who corrupt law clerks, and crooked lawyers. So now we're up to Sunday, right? Now that's yesterday, Monday. Well, all of Monday morning was used on Dolan and keeping the log up and reading the proposal for the Rainbow Media stock. They want to sell new stock. Well, you know what this is, folks? It's always greed and monopoly. These are the two things that motivate the Dolans. Greed and monopoly. And they want more money. And they'll come to you and try to get it from you by raising the rates. When James Dolan was given $10 million last year, you know, the salary and the stock options and the other compensation. I think it's $10 million, not even counting the stock options. So they want more money, and so they decided to take the Rainbow part of their business and the Cablevision part of their business, and they decided to sell stock over here in Rainbow to get more money. And then it's the same deception that they pulled with Cablevision stock, the same deception of not being a public company. They don't care about the public. All they care about is Dolans. All they care about is money to the Dolans. And so this is just another deception. Just the way selling Cablevision stock was a deception. This is just another deception. And it's a monstrosity. And how many pages is it, that great big thick book? So I read one page a day, and then I write down the questions about that page. And then I need a table when we go to that meeting, and you should hear that on the audio tape. That was all morning long. And let's see, pray Wednesday, pray Thursday, pray Friday, pray Saturday, pray Sunday. They all got behind. And pray Monday, it's half done. That's yesterday's. To Mount Vernon High School to hand in my programs to be cablecast and to pick up the ones that had been cablecast. It's all on 3/4 inch, which is a very difficult format. However, we were glad to see it replace 2-inch. Back in the old days. And I talked to Jeff Casella, and I watched his class. It really wasn't much. The boys were talking about girls, and the girls were talking about boys. And they had to wait until the bell rang. And then, of course, the security guards all over the place, just like it's a prison. That is so sad to see that happen. When high school used to be so much fun, everything was a laugh, you had good times, and now there's security guards all over the place. And kids are growing up in a police state. And in the afternoon, there were 10 legal papers backed up. I have another backlog of legal papers, 10 of them this time. And I did one of them. I've forgotten what one it was. But then this came in the mail. This is the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, White Plains. This is Charles L. Bryant. And I will read it to you. And I haven't had time to make my commentary on it and send it back to Bryant. But he says it's an endorsement order, whatever that means. In re Texaco Incorporated shareholder derivative litigation. Case number is 96. Goes way back to 1996, 4 years. Civ 8343, Charles L. Bryant. It's amazing how many civil cases are criminal. The within motion filed December 1st, 2000 by Glendora is denied. That was my motion to let me videotape and audiotape the hearing, and my motion to be given a copy of the minutes without charge. All right, the within motion filed December 1st, 2000 by Glendora is denied. There was no within motion. Nothing was behind this paper. No purpose is served by videotaping or audiotaping the hearing referred to therein. In other words, you're no purpose. You are not to be served. You are the public. You don't have a right to know what's going on in your courtrooms, right? That's what he's saying. No purpose is to be served. Your purposes are not to be served. You're just the public. There is no present necessity to furnish a transcript of the hearing to Glendora at public expense. There again, your right to know is violated. Glendora prevailed on the merits. Well, now that's news to me. I didn't know that I prevailed on the merits. William Rand wanted $140,000 in lawyers and fees and costs because he appealed the Bryant decision to give that thief, David Burchard, $1 million in attorney's fees. It was a racket. And we appealed it. William Rand in Glendora, and Judge Minor in the Second Circuit reduced the attorney's fees from $1 million to zero. Now, and I oppose William Rand's getting $140,000. Now, if he'd asked for like $400, if he'd asked for $1,400, but $440,000, even then, I think I would have opposed it. So Brian says Glendora prevailed on the motion with respect to the hearing. Well, that means that William Rand did not get the $140,000. But I didn't prevail. I don't think Bryant would have given it to him in the first place. $140,000 is $10,000 more than Bryant gets paid a year. Bryant gets paid about $130,000 a year as a United States District Court judge. Rand was asking $140,000 for less than 2-3 months he worked on it, off and on. Even if Bryant were honest, I don't think he would have granted it. Glendora prevailed on the merits. Well, what merits? With respect to the hearing, and therefore has no need for the transcript. That's non sequitur. Why does that mean I don't have a need for the transcript? If appellate review is sought, that is, if William Rand appeals Bryant's denying him the $140,000, well, then the appellant, that would be William, will be required to serve a copy of the record on Glendora, which will include a copy of the transcript. Well, that's not so either. I've had over 50 appeals, and nobody ever sent me a copy of the transcript. So ordered, dated White Plains, New York, December 1st, 2000. Charles L. Bryant, and I knocked the L out of it. And you see it's rubber stamped. It's not even a signature. So now I think you're up to date. And the next thing to do is to hear the audio tape conversations, which are all very revealing and very interesting. These Hall's mints, 3 at a time, do something to calm down the throat from coughing. This joke applies to Charles Dolan. This year, our chairman has written the annual report in terms that are easy for any stockholder to understand. It goes like this. Look, Pat, look. See the earnings. The earnings are tiny. See the expenses. The expenses are huge. Run, Pat, run. Fresh out of college, Harry has what it takes to become a great business success. Rich parents. And Mary is very proud of the way her son became general manager of his company. He started out as the president. What do you call fake spaghetti? What do you call fake spaghetti? The great imposter. And John was asked why he had spent 25 years in the finance department, and John says, because that's where they kept the money. Every piece of equipment in our office is covered by insurance, except the clock. And the employees keep a watch on that. And our company just found something that will do the work of 5 men, 1 woman. Some announcements here from Americans for Legal Reform. If anybody says anything bad about a lawyer or about a judge, I believe it instantly. Before I pass it on, of course, I have to check it out. Because I tell you of those things only that I have personal knowledge. But according to Americans in Legal Reform, Newsday, October 20th, 2000, judges in New York City have been giving lucrative assignment to favored lawyers without reporting to court officials who was selected for the coveted work or how much the favored ones were paid. That's a direct violation of court rules designed to curb patronage. Like ex-Judge Howard advocates, it's okay for lawyers to steal a little. Well, let's give this one a try. Americans for Legal Reform says, newly elected Supreme Court Judge Ira Robb advocates 3-way telephone conferences with him from all over the state for dates for future conferences. While many cases were even settled, the object is to set dates for hearings, etc. How come none of the other genius judges who earn $139,000 a year ever thought of it? Are they earning $139,000 a year? Here's a quote. It would be a better society if we had a few less regulations and a few thousand less lawyers needed to interpret them. And all that is required for the triumph of evil is that good people remain silent and do nothing. Americans for Legal Reform says, before you hire Carl Wand as an attorney, or Leonard Marlowe as an attorney, call Americans for Legal Reform. Let me give you their number. (516-487-1734). There's no December meeting of Americans for Legal Reform, but there is one on Tuesday, January the 23rd. Tuesday, the January 23rd. And Wednesday, the January 24th, they picket the Suffolk Supreme Court. And where is the meeting? Plainview, Old Bethpage Library, 999 Old Country Road, Plainview. Does anyone have any information of any kind with any matter involving the following? Your name will be kept confidential. And then you can telephone 631-421-6300. Judge Daniel Martins, Judge James Hudson, Judge Leonard Austin, Judge William Underwood, Judge Leslie Koenig, Judge Guy J. Mangano. He's a bad one. I got a lot of information on him. Judge Raymond Radigan, Judge Stanley Harwood, Judge Donald Kitson, Judge Gail Prudenti, and Judge Melvin Tannenbaum. There's another whole list of lawyers and another column of lawyers. Let's go to the audio tape.
Well, how is the corporation doing?
You have no messages. You go the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Go the rest of the way.
And you know, he always comes back in a half an hour, and he did it.
Did you call the Humane Society?
Yes, I called them, and they weren't busy. And the line was, there was no answer, I mean. And I called the police twice, 2 or 3 times. So I'm checking with you before I call the animal
And
shelter.
no sign from today. I was going to try to take a ride going up toward you, but I wouldn't know the path that he would, I don't know how he'd find his way.
I know, he's so smart.
So it's not that easy, you know. I thought I'd have a hard time finding your house, but you told me how to get there. He found his way, so I don't know.
Oh, he's so smart.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's
That's
so...
what I'm thinking. He's a real survivor. I don't worry about him too much, you know, because he does seem to find friends. You know, one look in those eyes, people say, oh, look at this poor guy, you know. Well, you don't bite them, they're for his friend.
Oh, yeah, well, okay. I'll keep calling you, see if
We'll
he...
keep looking, and after work today, I'll take a Panther ride going up North Avenue and around, because he's got to come down Boston Road some way.
Well, now, wait. What you would do then is, you would go up Boston Road, that's right, Route 1.
Yeah.
And then you would go up the Hutch, I would think.
You go up along the Hutch?
I would think.
Okay.
What would you think? Because he isn't in New Rochelle, he's in Mount Vernon.
Uh-huh.
And he's in Mount Vernon near Columbus and Lincoln.
Okay.
You know Columbus and Lincoln. I would go up Route 22, that's what I would do.
Go along 22.
Now, I would go up Route 22, Columbus Avenue, into Mount Vernon, and you come...
He's a commercial dog. He likes commercial routes.
And you'll come to Lincoln. As you go up Route 22, you come to Lincoln, just short of the cross county, and make a left on Lincoln.
Yeah.
And those are our streets, 2 or 3 blocks. Those are all our streets. Our street is Claremont.
Okay.
And I last saw him at the next street up, which is Summit and Sydney. That's where I last saw him.
Okay.
I went out this morning and cruised and cruised and cruised.
Boy, what a guy.
Yeah,
He always has to have a life of excitement.
Oh, boy,
He likes exciting life.
there's nothing
Okay,
more...
you have a good day. We'll say a prayer. We'll do our best. Huh?
Yeah, there's nothing more I want right now than to see Rusty whole and healthy and happy. Okay, Joe, keep me posted. At Sydney. That's where I last saw him.
Okay.
I went out this morning and cruised and cruised and cruised.
Boy, what a guy.
Yeah,
He always has to have a life of excitement.
Oh, boy,
He likes exciting life.
there's nothing
Okay,
more...
you have a good day. We'll say a prayer. We'll do our best. Huh?
Yeah, there's nothing more I want right now than to see Rusty whole and healthy and happy.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, keep me posted.
Take care.
What time you going home, noon?
That was Saturday morning.
I am calling to see if anybody found my dog. Brown dog, green collar, purple leash. No. Okay. What time does the... I like to give you my... animal shelter. Yeah, I'm trying to, but they're not open. I will later. Will you take my number, please? Go ahead. 667. Thanks. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Hi, I'm calling to see if you found my dog. He's a brown dog with a green collar and a purple leash. He's about 85 pounds. He has a white vest. His name is Rusty. He's 12 years old, and he's been gone 24 hours. And the last place where I saw him was in Summit, that block right in there. My number is 7731 Claremont Street. Hello?
Since you call us about this matter of personal business, please call 1-800-605-5339 and mention reference number 501021400. Again, please call 1-800-605-5339 and mention reference number 501021400. Please call between... most of the tapes...
Pat Brady. Pat Brady.
You sent me 2 more tapes. I still
Staten Island.
in my presence. I haven't been down there. One of the tapes, one of the original tapes that you got me, the 3/4 inch was very jumpy because I watched, you know, to make sure everything was okay before I hand in. So I have that tape on me, and I have the 2 tapes that you sent me a few weeks ago. The ones that you previously sent me are still being aired at CTV. They've got them splashed different times, different days. And I think one was aired yesterday. I did see one last week as I'm flipping through the channels. So I don't know exactly what time they're offered because I've been extremely busy. But I know I see them on CTV. And Frank has seen a few. I did tell Stuart about them also, and he said he was going to keep his eyes open to watch some of them. So they look pretty good, you know, considering it's just the one person doing everything type of show. This week I have the UFO show, the UFO phenomena, and we're going to have a very good researcher by the name of Bud Hopkins on the show. He wrote books like Witness and Intruders, and he will be our guest. So, and also I have to be at the college and take a test for cinema this week. So I am really extremely busy. I will be down there during the week at one point, and I will put in these last 2 tapes that you've given me. They have been playing everything so far that you've given me also. So, I don't know if you want me to mail. I can't mail you, well actually, I can't mail you anything back right now. But when I get them out of control room, out of when they're off the schedule, I will gladly mail them back to you. Hopefully by then,
End of messages.
Well, thank you, Pat. That's very good.
2. Save all messages. Hang up. Messages. Deleted.
operation doing?
You have no messages.
Did you see Rusty?
No, not yet, hon. I didn't get out yet.
Okay, hon.
Didn't show up though.
Okay.
I'll get out after work.
What's that?
I'll get out after work.
Oh, that's good. I just hoping that he would show up there. Or
Yeah, he didn't show.
hoping most of all he'd show up.
We're open tomorrow too, so if there comes chance he gets here tomorrow, there'll be an open door for him.
Oh, Sunday you're open?
Yeah, we're open in the morning.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
We don't work in the morning, but we just here for people who tow in cars, and sometimes I'm here doing some paperwork and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You work 7 days a week?
Yeah.
Oh.
The only day I get a little peace and quiet where I can get into.
Yeah, I know. It's terribly hectic there.
Yeah, sure.
That guy never did charge my our battery. He came over and Franklin...
No, what happened was they put it on the meter, and they saw the battery was dry.
So why'd they put water in it?
There's no acid in the cells.
So why didn't he...
Yeah. That was confirmed by Rick Futia. So I told you what we did. We had an interstate battery up at Rick's that Rick was trying to sell for us for $100. And so Monday, or rather Friday morning, Rick put the new battery in, the interstate Megatron. And no charge, and a new battery terminal. And so we're all set. The 1993 Lincoln starts right up.
What he had needed to hear, if you know what I mean?
I was thinking about you. Yesterday.
Yeah.
I went to Parking Violations Bureau.
Oh.
But I parked my truck in front of the bus stop. But whenever they come with the parking agents coming to give everybody tickets. They always give me a ticket, even though it's in front of the pole. So I brought a picture. I went over. I said, I get these tickets. I said I had like over 6 months. They gave me 5 tickets.
Oh, my goodness.
I said I park in the same place every day. I said only when they come with all these parking people, they ticket me. I said, here's the picture. Here's how the car's parked. She goes, well, I don't believe your story, and
Oh, my goodness.
I don't believe your story, and you're going to pay the full amount. I said, well, there's a penalty on these tickets, because after 10 days they had another $65.
Oh, my goodness.
He says, oh, no, you're going to pay the penalty too. You have no excuse why you didn't pay the ticket.
What a stinker.
Well, a stinker. I wound up paying 4 tickets, cost me $500.
But, that's not right.
It's not.
I hate the Bronx.
I hate the Bronx, too.
But, boy, they got enough from us, didn't they?
Yeah, they sure do.
Well, I'm still after them.
I know you are. I said, boy, if Glendora was here, she wouldn't stand for it.
Oh, Joe, I'm so sorry about that.
Oh.
Where was that, down in Kingsbridge?
Yeah.
Who was the hearing examiner?
A woman, Scarola.
What a stinker.
Yeah, what a stinker, for sure. Okay, dear.
I think she's a stinker.
Yeah, I'm going to try to appeal him.
Are you?
I got an appeal form. Let me try to see what I can do.
Okay, I'll help you with it.
I'll find a better set of ears.
Yeah.
Take care now.
Okay, now I gotta find the Rusty. I'm gonna call the police again in the animal shelter.
Okay.
All right.
Where is the animal shelter over there?
I don't know, but it's in Mount Vernon. I have the number. I want the number?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me give you the numbers. My number goes that way.
They don't go that way.
No, I know where he goes.
He knows his routine, eh?
Oh, yeah, I know where he goes.
Yeah.
He goes Claremont, he goes Summit, he goes...
Wait, he's not rambling around, sniffing around. He's directed, He's really weird when he's on his little trips.
Yes, he is.
You look at him and you say, this dog. What's with this dog? It's not like he's just looking for something to play with, but he's like moving. He says, I got somewhere to go,
Yeah, it is funny.
Okay.
And he goes Sydney, and he goes Prospect, and he goes Dale Street, and then he goes out to Lincoln Avenue.
Okay.
But he doesn't go to Pelham.
Take care of yourself.
Okay, bye-bye. Brown dog, green collar.
Ma'am, no.
Brown dog, green collar.
We didn't find it, ma'am.
You didn't find any dog?
No.
Okay, remember, it's a green collar
I didn't forget.
and a purple leash. You got my number, okay?
I do.
My husband says I gave you the wrong number. It's 667.
You don't...
They're in an animal shelter. I will call to see if you found my dog.
Yeah.
Okay. When was your dog lost?
Well, he's a brown dog with a green collar and a purple leash.
Did you come in and fill out a lost report?
No, I called on the phone, and he left yesterday morning at 6:30.
Okay. Hold on a second. Let me see. There's a form for you. Did we find any dogs? What do you have, a brown?
Yeah, brown dog, 85 pounds.
Brown, 85 pounds?
Yeah.
What kind of dog is it?
Every kind.
Brown shepherd?
Every kind.
Every kind.
And he has a white vest, and he's wearing a green collar and a purple leash.
He was wearing a white vest?
No, he has a white vest. He has a white, his chest is white.
Oh.
And he was wearing a green collar and a purple leash.
You called yesterday?
Yes, but my husband says I left the wrong number.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My number is 667.
I don't see a report for you. Maybe you should come down to the shelter. The animal obviously was lost in Mount Vernon, right?
Oh, he's lost at, the last time I saw him was Claremont and Sydney.
Claremont and Sydney?
Yes, near Summit. That's
Hold on a sec.
yeah. That's his path. That's the path he travels in.
Hold on a second. We're going to fill out a report over the phone, okay?
Okay, thanks.
And when was the dog lost?
6:30 yesterday morning, December 1st,
Okay.
a.m. Franklin? Yeah. Is he out there? Yes.
What was your dog's name?
Rusty?
Rusty?
Yes.
So would you call it a shepherd mix?
No, I don't know what he is. There are a lot of dogs look like him. Just a mix, I guess.
Well, what colors? Predominant colors?
Oh, brown. He's brown everywhere.
Brown and white.
Except for that white part on his chest.
How much does he weigh?
About 85.
And it's a male?
Yes. He's 12 years old.
Is he altered?
No.
Collar? Was he wearing a collar?
Yes, green.
Any tags on it?
No tags. And the leash was purple.
He was wearing his leash?
Yes, he had his purple leash on.
Does he have any, distinctive identifying marks?
Well, the white in his chest.
Other than that, nothing? No scars, tattoos,
No.
patches of hair that are, not there? Anything
No,
that would make him stand out?
well, around his rear end, it's tan instead of brown.
Okay. Okay, now where was he lost from? What address?
Okay, he was lost from, Sydney, 9495.
9495?
Yes.
Okay.
I never give anybody this number, that's why I don't know it. I give everybody... What's your name?
My name is Dawn.
Well, thank you, John.
We'll be on the lookout. Okay? Have you been out today to look for the dog?
Oh, yeah, I cruised the block for 35 minutes. I called the police. And one time he was lost, and he went all the way back. See, I rescued him from the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a garage, a car repair garage, and that was really no environment for him.
Okay.
So I said to the owner, I got to find Rusty a home, and the owner says, oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find him a home.
Yeah.
And,
all right.
And then I have this story to tell you. This is amazing. I think it was last week. He did this. He went out in the morning, and he didn't come back.
Mm-hmm.
And at 1:30 in the afternoon, we had to go. But at 1:30 in the afternoon, they called us from the garage, and he had gone 3.7 miles.
See that?
From here to the Bronx. At the corner of Columbus Avenue and Boston Road. Now, how can he do that? How did he?
Oh, my goodness.
That's 3.7 miles that dog went.
Yeah.
So I rushed down and got him, and now he's done it again. So I wanted to...
You know, maybe you should just not be letting him out.
You can say that again.
Yeah, maybe this is it, right?
Oh, this is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not good idea to just let the dog go out, all right?
Yeah, because I love him. I'm still trying to find him a home.
So, absolutely. But, you know, you can't just let him out in a yard to let him run free or whatever, because they do escape, all right?
It's clear what he did.
All right. Listen, we'll keep an eye out for him, okay?
Oh, yes. Did you know that Dawn is the name of my dish detergent?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Goodbye, Glenn.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
First name, your last name, can you spell it, please?
B-boy. U-E-L-L.
U-E-L-L.
Yeah, B-boy. U-E-L-L.
And your first name?
Glendora.
Glendora?
Yes.
And now I can't understand you with your first name. Are you speaking on the speakerphone, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, it's hard for me to hear you. It's like an echo.
Glendora. Glendora.
Your last name is what I'm having problems hearing.
B-boy. U-E-L-L.
Are you saying B as in boy?
Yes.
U-E-L-L?
Correct.
We have you listed as Mrs. Glendora Boyle.
Yes.
Glendora-B-U-E-L-L.
Yes.
And you went to school under Flossom, F-O-L-S-O-M.
Folsom. F-O-L-S-O-M. Yes.
And the class of 50.
Yeah.
Your bachelor's degree. Do you have any other degrees from any other schools you'd like to have listed, ma'am?
No.
We also have you for Glendora TV ads. And what is your title at your company?
Owner.
Owner. And the address to your company, ma'am?
Box 416.
Box 416, is that P.O. Box?
Yes.
416, correct?
Yes.
And the zip code there?
1060.
This is American International College. They're putting out a directory. The whole thing is a money thing. I really don't like it.
White Plains, New York.
Yes.
And the phone number there, ma'am, Mary comes first.
914.
914
949.
949
9495.
9495.
Yeah.
And let me list you as a business owner in our career expertise file, okay?
What did you say?
I want to list you as a business owner in our career file, okay?
Okay.
Have a code file we use for...
Okay.
They have you listed as marketing and advertisement. That's wrong. You're your business owner. Let me find that right.
No, I think it is a marketing and advertising business.
Yes, but you also are the owner. So would you want to be listed under marketing or under owner?
Okay, under owner.
Okay. One moment. Let me bring it up. N-N-O. Okay, I see why they put you under that. You can't find. That's what it was.
Oh,
I
thank
had you listed under marketing.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, one moment, I'm not finished yet.
Okay.
Here we go, business right here. Also, we have email listings. Would you like to list your current email address?
I don't have email.
Okay. I saw your resident information the same as your business information. P.O. Box 416, White Plains, New York. I have your spouse as Franklin, Franklin. Would you like to list any children's names?
How do you spell his first name?
Franklin, Franklin.
No, it's Lyn.
Lyn?
Yeah, and no children.
All right. And is all this information correct?
Yes.
By any chance, did your spouse attend American International College as well?
What did you say?
Your spouse attend the college as well, ma'am.
No, I didn't understand what you said, Desiree.
Did your spouse attend the American International College as well?
Oh, no, he did not. Boston University.
All right, this is the way your listing will appear in the most complete directory ever published for American International College. Your directory will be divided into 4 sections: biographical, geographical, class year, and career networking. In addition, your directory will open with photographs and a history of American International College. So as you can tell, the directory is not only an excellent reference tool, but it's fun to see where everyone is and what they're doing. Directories are made available to alumni only, and of course your satisfaction is guaranteed. You do have your choice of the Deluxe Library Edition for $69.99 or the Softbound Edition for $59.99. We're having such a great response. Which edition may I reserve for you?
No, not now, Desiree.
Okay, ma'am, well, you have the number. If you choose to call back in order, the deadline is February before your directory will be released.